Is it go time?
It's go time.
Oh, yeah, it's recording.
Welcome to the podcast that takes a light-hearted look at money.
We dive into the world of spending and saving, the ups and downs of budgeting, money mishaps, and the tips that actually work to help keep your finances in check.
Whether you want to spend it wisely or widely, we look at how to get the right formula so you're never spending more than you need to or getting tripped up along the way. I'm Charlotte Redding, product expert, master of multi-buys and value for money enthusiast.
And I am Vix Layton, the other half of this, consumer champion, prolific spender, and next day delivery devotee.
This week on Spendology.
It's that time again. When you're already dreading the money that you haven't spent yet for Christmas, why is it so hard to say no to the things you can't afford? Plus, with shops reporting a massive boom in vinyl sales, are we falling out of love with streaming and longing to return to the era of media we can actually hold in our hands?
Welcome to Spendology.
Charlotte, how are you?
I'm really good. I had some great toast this morning. I got some new butter and I'm really excited about it, and the world must know. I spent a lot more on this butter than I should have done. It was from Waitrose. I wouldn't normally buy butter from Waitrose. It's French and it has salt crystals in it or something. But all I know is that I want to eat a block of butter.
Every day with a spoon. So toast is basically like an edible spoon for the butter. Is that what you're saying? Yes,
toast is a vehicle for butter to be.
Did this one have a security tag on it? How expensive are we talking?
No, they don't do that in Waitrose, do they? Because everyone there can afford it.
The Lurpaks are in those plastic boxes in Morrison's.
Just grab them. How are you, Vic?
Do you know what? I'm all right. I've come from Cardiff this morning. I was staying at home with my dad. We went to see The Cause, and he packed me a lunch for the train.
Did he?
Yeah, which is really nice. I wasn't expecting. So obviously I ate it immediately.
As you do.
Well, no, I held on for 40 minutes. The train was at 9:15. Before 10, I was cracking that lid.
It's like taking a pack up to work, isn't it? Like, you sit there and that's why I can't go into the office, because if I take a lunch with me, it's gone by 10:30.
Making your own lunch is an absolute scam. It's just 2 lunches.
It's just a 2-lunch day.
It's a bonus lunch at best. And don't get me wrong, I'm happy to have 2 lunches, but...
I mean, it's better than going out for lunch with your colleagues.
It is better than going out for lunch with your colleagues, because it is that time again. What an effortless segue
Thank you.
Into the first issue of the day. So, it's happening. Christmas. It's a spending orgy. It's...
this spending orgy,
isn't it? It's a spending orgy. We're about to go into it. It's a social nightmare. I had to say to someone earlier that I have no weekends now until 2025.
It's bad, isn't it?
With it, it's like, we'll go for a Christmas drink. Here are the dates I can do. Here are the dates you can do. Oh, maybe next year then.
It's Christmas parties, Christmas drinks. I had a right bunch of mishaps in the family group chat in the last 24 hours where we've accidentally double booked family visits, and within our sibling chat we realised that 2 people were like, yes, this date to someone, and then yes, the same date to somebody else. So we've had to nominate a tribute to sort that out.
So it's a logistical challenge, but also it's a massive financial challenge, because what we know about British people, we don't like to give away that we haven't got any money, and it's cost of living crisis, so we haven't got any money.
People hate it. People don't want to talk about money, and I suppose it's like our proper... Famously, as Brits, we don't, do we? It's the stiff upper lip, sort of money, politics and religion are the no-go dinner party topics.
Oh, it's crass. We don't talk about money. It's crass.
You can't let people know your financial situation. You have to leave them guessing. Real keeping up with the Joneses vibes.
Yeah, but the Joneses aren't real. And no. I think we've seen some research on this, haven't we, by Hot UK Deals, that actually we're all trying to match up with our friends, but every single person around any restaurant table is hoping somebody else suggests we only pay for what we had.
Absolutely. I'm going to give you a little scenario.
Go on.
And I'm going to ask you what you would do in that scenario.
Okay.
So I want you to imagine, Vix, that you have 4+ friends. That's the scenario.
What's that like?
4+ friends,
right, yeah.
Greater than or equal to 4. You all go out for dinner. You, for some reason, choose to have a single course and no alcohol.
Okay.
And every other person at that restaurant has 3 courses and cocktails.
So I've got a gig.
Yeah. You've got a gig, you're in a rush, whatever it is. You've gone out to this dinner, but you've already had dinner, or you're going to eat later. Or...
I thought we were going for drinks. I've already had my dinner, but I don't want to say anything because
exactly.
I don't want people to realise.
So it's a single course and you're already smashed, so you're on the soft drinks anyway. Whatever it is, the bill comes. And everyone else at that table says, let's split it evenly. What do you do? That face.
Yeah, that's what I do. I do that face. So what kind of restaurant are we talking? Because presumably someone has designated this restaurant, and usually it's the person with the most money.
Always.
So we've already, to get to this point where we're sat around the table, navigated a minefield where there was an opportunity for somebody to say, oh, that's a bit pricey, or
Absolutely.
Shall we go somewhere? Well, we've got a voucher, but no one in the WhatsApp group has done this.
People are always scared to do that. Like, huge chunks of people are too proud to say, oh, I've got a voucher for this place, or it's 2 for 1, or there's a deal on. People are ashamed of deals.
And there are some really good sort of Christmas festive menus, but the trouble is I suck it up. And the thing is, I'll double down. Like, I have been known to double down in the past. The idea of even doing the maths, if there's argy-bargy around the maths, I'll go, oh, I'll just pay.
And you'll pay the whole thing.
And I'm crying inside. But, and you know what? People aren't even grateful, because if you can just effortlessly pay for everyone's meal, they assume you've got it. So now it's like...
But a lot of people want people to believe they do. So what would you do? Would you say, oh, actually, you point out that, you know, I can't afford it?
Well, I think you've got to be the person that you need around the table, because even if you can afford it, if you look around and somebody's looking uncomfortable, or if you notice they've had the cheapest thing on the menu, be the person that you want to see in the world and suggest everybody pays for themselves. And I think I've got a lot better at this now, because I am a consumer champion and it's my day job. So you can kind of bring it up in a kind of
people pleaser.
It's two sides of my personality. There's an angel and a devil, and you never know what to win. But I think it is an easier conversation to throw in if the stakes aren't high for you. So
this same question, this same scenario was put to 2,000 people, and the responses are pretty wild. So 38% of people, just 38, would be comfortable to say, I can't afford it, I'm just going to pay for myself. That's not many people who would go, oh, actually, I haven't got the money to pay for your alcohol and meals, so I will just pay for my side salad and water. Thank you. A further 30% would suggest paying for their own dishes because everything's different prices. You know, you start a conversation like, oh, well, you know, some of you had cocktails and you just had a pint, Simon, and Laura, you had cocktails. So, you know, everyone's got different price things. So maybe everyone should just pay for themselves.
And I think that is the tip for starting this conversation. If you don't want to make it about yourself, you know, point out the disparity between things, like the difference between a Diet Coke and a cocktail is marked. You know, that is
like £14 sometimes.
That's an exchange rate people can understand. £9 last night at the Cardiff International Arena for pints.
I was going to say, for a Diet Coke, that's wild.
I had two pints and a soft drink, and it was £23 for the whole round. I thought it was going to be sick.
That's a lot of money.
My dad had bought the tickets, though, so I actually got a good deal. I got to see the cause for £9, but...
Plus your train.
Yeah. But again, I can't help myself. I want to get in there. I want to buy the rounds. Like,
but there are a further 30% of people in that scenario will say nothing. And they will say nothing for various reasons. So of that 30% of people who in that situation would pay more than they need to and say nothing, 13% say they would do so because they don't want to draw attention to the fact that they're trying to save. They just don't want to draw attention to it. They don't want to make a big deal of it, so they'll just pay more than they need to. 10% would not say anything because they would think it rude to speak up. Get better friends. With all due respect, get friends that you like going out with, that you feel comfortable with.
But then when you want to treat them to a cocktail?
Yeah. And 7% would be too proud or embarrassed to admit that they couldn't afford it. And that seems pretty normal.
And when you've budgeted £15 and then you're paying $50, it has a huge impact on...
Huge impact. And starting those conversations is impossible. Let's take another example. You're at the pub with 4 friends. You've got 4 friends, Vic.
4 friends.
Do you have 4?
I think so.
Do you have more?
I think more than 4, not necessarily all of the same groups. So I think 4's a good number.
You could rally 4 together.
A solid round, yeah.
You know, and you're only staying for one drink. Again, this situation, you're going to a gig, you've got somewhere to be, you're only staying for one drink, and someone says, I'll get a round in. What do? 41% of people would say, hey, you can get that round, but I'm only staying for one. So I will be accepting that free drink because I will not have a chance to stand my round.
That would be me, that would.
Yeah.
Because I've done that for other people in the past as well.
Exactly.
So I feel like that is a virtuous circle.
Because people feel that they have to pay people back, don't they? They're like, oh my God, I can't get something for free from my friends. I must let them know I will not be standing my round this evening. That is my nightmare.
If everybody felt like that, it would be very different.
Yeah, everyone has got that one friend who never stands their round.
Yeah.
So 24% of people, though, which this blew my mind, 24% of people in that situation would then choose to buy that first round.
Yes, actually, that might be me.
Right, so you're only staying for one drink.
I'm not sticking around.
I'll get these and I'll spend £50 on this round of cocktails for everybody, even though I'm only having one drink and leaving.
You're saying it back to me now and I do feel like a mug, but I can't tell you what rationale I use.
I can just see these letters sort of appearing on your forehead.
Mug.
And 20% of people would just buy their own and say, actually, I'll just get my own drink. There's one of these options that's obviously the worst one, which is buy-in for everybody. Yeah. If they're all going to sit at the pub, why would you buy 5 free drinks?
Yeah, and everybody else gets 4 free drinks. Like, yeah, it does. The maths is not
the
stacked.
maths doesn't maths. But I think people need to advocate for their friends in those groups. You know, if you know someone is step up and say it for your friends, because people are embarrassed and ashamed.
And I think we need to just make that the norm now, where we're making plans. Like, firstly, say no. Because that's another thing that research said, that people are putting themselves into debt going on the sort of hen weekends of people that they don't even like that much. And then they're not going on their own holiday as a result. Like, the first step for this, particularly with Christmas coming up, like, we have got a cost of living crisis, which is a brilliant vehicle for having this conversation without drawing attention to yourself. And like, establish ground rules straight off the bat. You get dropped into this WhatsApp group, Gal's Drinks or Becky's Hen or but my friend, I've actually got a friend called Becky. I'm not talking about you.
Oh my God, if Becky listens to this, she's going to be like, Vix didn't want to come on my hen do. But also, don't be afraid to just leave that WhatsApp group and say, I can't afford to go on this trip. Like, I think like you reach a certain age and points in your life where people start getting married and people start having children and doing those things. And suddenly all around you are all of these events. And if you want to have a holiday that year as well, you have to be able to say no to your friends.
And I think just take the pressure off other people as well. So it's like, this is social, but also when it comes to like a secret Santa, do you buy for the adults in your family? Have the conversation now. So we're in November, before people start shopping, and you can't turn back the clock, have the conversation now. Just say, look, bit strapped for cash this year, would love to see you. Let's make that our present. Let's all get together somewhere at a reasonable price point and spend time together, because the right people will value that over everything else. Because like we've had this chat. We've had to have this chat in various guises. Like, I don't want to be in the stuff Secret Santa, because the thing I'll get, I don't want. And I think it's like, consumerist as well, and it leads to so much waste. Like, the Boots 3 for 2s are built on people you don't know very well that for some reason you have to spend £10 on.
Like, I don't want stuff. Like, I don't want stuff I don't need. And I'm perfectly happy to, it's one of those really difficult things when someone hands you a gift and you're like, oh,
thanks, I don't want that.
I don't want to be ungrateful, but I'm not grateful for it. Like, how do you navigate that? How do I go, thanks, but I can't accept this because it's crap?
There was a bag this year where some of it was just straight into the charity shop bag. And I love that people thought of me, and it was really lovely. But I think, again, it's a really good time. Have honest conversations with your friends and family. Set budgets. If you want to buy something thoughtful, set a budget. So we've got Family Secret Santa, where everyone's doing a stocking and only the kids are getting real presents. Like, unless you see something that absolutely, like your dad, for example, saw that windscreen warmer, and you had to have it.
To be fair, what a great gift. Exactly. It's like a dehumidifier thing, like a wheat bag that you put in the car and it absorbs. It was a good bit of kit, but that to me is the ideal gift.
Yeah.
It's something that I haven't asked for, but that is genuinely useful. But I'm not everybody. Some people like that abundance. But if you don't, like me, tell people you don't want stuff. I'd much rather have a nice meal with someone and get to do something or an activity with them. To me, that's much better.
Yeah. So have the conversation, be honest, use this podcast as your jumping off point. So I was listening to a podcast. Did you know about this?
Yeah.
Why don't we, as standard, just make this part of our planning in every single spending
don't
situation?
Be afraid to set a budget. Like, you can go out to your family members and say, like, I suppose Secret Santa makes it easier, but take that principle and run with it. Let people know. So, because there's always that awkward situation where you don't want someone to spend more on you. You know, maybe.
Yeah. And also, don't be afraid to ask for vouchers. If someone is absolutely burning to buy you something and you don't have anything that you need, put it towards something that you genuinely want. And again, it comes back to that kind of crassness of it's rude to ask for money.
Yeah.
It's like you see it on wedding lists a lot of the time now, where people don't just get a load of tap from John Lewis. They go, can you contribute towards a honeymoon or to starting a home?
John Lewis doesn't spell tat.
Oh, it does. And people, you feel like you're looking for the cheapest thing, and then just like wine on a wine list, you go for the second cheapest thing. It's like, I won't get the salt and pepper shakers, but I will get one plate.
Not going for the cutlery set, that is too much.
But you still see typically older people who are chuntering at the idea that someone said, here's a honeymoon fund, or here's a christening fund, just throw a tenner into that and we'll buy what we actually need. And I think we all need to just be a little bit more comfortable with stamping out needless spending. Like, we've learned a hard lesson. We got nothing.
Just don't give gifts sometimes. Like, some people don't need gifts. I don't need gifts.
But to be clear, I love gifts. Like, we're having this conversation now, and I don't want to be that person. And I will. To be fair to me, I will never be the person that goes, "Oh, don't get me anything, just get me something small," because I don't want something small. I want what's my main present for Christmas? That's who I am. I'm 40. Everyone. You've never loved me more. Shut up.
In an unrelated note, I desperately need to start thinking about Christmas presents because somebody's going to get coal and she's going to be very upset.
Well, maybe I deserve coal. I don't know how well I've behaved.
Do you know what would be nice to have, though? Something you can actually own.
Oh, beautiful. I've
been working on my segues.
I know.
It's stunning, isn't it?
I was, without even thinking about it, making a segue. I was doing the action of a smooth segue. Things you own. Hey, what about that?
Vinyls. Fungibles, not non-fungible tokens. I like fungible items.
We are moving. I still don't know what fungible means, but we are moving back to the fungibles, apparently, specifically in music, because HMV made a comeback to the high street last year, triumphantly, off the back of vinyl sales. People want the old record store experience. And shout out to Save Our Souls Records in Southend, my friend's company, who, again, just set up on the high street, and they're having an absolutely brilliant year of, like, deep cut things, and also chart.
Absolutely. So it's known as the vinyl revival. I was going to call it the resurgence of vinyl, but somebody made something that sort of rhymed a little bit better. So the vinyl revival, fine.
It doesn't rhyme.
But it's absolutely made a comeback. Vinyl sales in the UK are at their highest point since 1990. And WH Smith are going to start stocking vinyl records. I mean, what does WH Smith sell anyway?
Books, some books. I was in there earlier. Costa Coffee Express, chargers.
It's like a game of My Mother Went to Market. My mother went to WH Smith and she bought...
You'll be surprised what you can find in there. I buy books now as well because I get drawn in by the 2 for £10. I lost my Kindle login ages ago, so now I'm back on the books.
Back on the books.
Back on the real books.
Hit the books, Vix. But it's just...
music in shops is gone. I thought CDs were the last stand. Like, they got rid of tapes, then CDs, and I missed them because I loved the jacket notes, I loved the little letter that you got, I loved the extra pictures, the lyrics. Like, I don't want to have to look them up. I want the experience. And I found this out when I bought Taylor Swift's album, specifically for the people who listen to episode 1 to get Taylor Swift tickets.
Yeah.
It's beautiful. Like, I've got to say, it's a clear vinyl. It's full of handwritten notes from her. It's got a little book in it. It is an experience. And I used to do that when I was a kid. I'd pull all the records out. I'd look at the fronts of them. I'd slide them out to look at the colour of the vinyls. Like, I fell in love with music via those vinyls, my parents' vinyls, but I thought they were gone. I thought we can carry thousands around now with us all the time. So
yeah, last year 5.9 million records were sold in the UK, which is loads. And I think the hipsters started it as ever. They genuinely had it before it was cool, and they, to try and distance themselves from popular culture, decided to go back to record players in their homes.
They do look good, though.
They do look good. They're very stylish. I've got one. I'm not ashamed to admit it. I like it.
We got a little stand. It's a feature.
It is. It's a decorative feature, and it's very useful and it's very nice. But people want to own things because none of us get to own things anymore.
No, we don't have homes.
We don't have homes. We don't own anything. I aspire to land ownership. I aspire to true ownership because it doesn't exist across TV, film, music, games. Nobody owns anything anymore.
Because this is the point. So, ownership. I buy music on Apple, and it's sitting there in my phone. I use my phone. I die. My Apple collection goes to my...
I mean, realistically...
How does that work?
It's tied to your login. You, on your account, leased those songs from Apple and got a license to play them for a period of time.
I've paid the same as if I'd bought a physical copy. Obviously, I got used to Criminal Minds being in one place. I have to have my annual rewatch. And Disney Plus bought the rights to it. And now it's over there. It's gone. It's one of the things I subscribed for.
Yeah.
And it's gone. So, yeah.
Damn you, Netflix.
I know, but sidebar, Disney Plus has the new Criminal Minds and they're allowed to do swears in it. And it's very good. So if you were sad when Criminal Minds ended and you want more, get over there, but get over there on a free trial because we are who we are.
But we are all stuck on streaming services. Nothing has DVD players anymore, really. This is one of the advantages of owning a console, is that people typically use those as their now DVD player. It's sort of the acceptable way to have one. Because if I went to someone's home and they had a genuine DVD player plugged in, I would be like,
you okay?
What's that? But if they had a PS5, I'd be like, okay, but it's the same thing, isn't it? But people miss owning stuff because as soon as those services stop having it, they lose the license, you lose access to it. We have bought on Amazon Prime many, many seasons of Law and Order SVU because
I have no regrets.
We love it.
We love it.
It's fantastic. We're huge fans of it.
It's 2 clicks. They're like, do you want to watch more? $12.99. I'm like, oh, go on.
Take my money. But if Amazon loses the right to distribute it, we don't own that.
I've bought it already on another streaming channel a few years ago and I can't remember where. I know I paid for it. It was gone. I'm having to buy it again.
Yeah.
How many times do I have to pay for this?
We don't get to pay for it. We don't get to buy it. We don't own it. You don't own any of the things that you purchase. They are sat behind a lease. I think the best...
musical tenants? How was...
Yeah, the best way to describe it, I think the closest parallel would be something like a freehold versus a leasehold property. So essentially, Amazon is the people renting to you. We are the tenants of that flat. It's very nice. Amazon rents it to us, but Amazon doesn't own the building. So if the person who owns the building decides to sell it, Amazon gets kicked out and does a byproduct. So do you. You have absolutely no right in this chain, and ultimately it's the person who owns it who decides. If that lease and that license to distribute, to sell, is revoked, we got nothing.
And it's really interesting to see that manifest in shows that were made before streaming, because a lot of stream shows, the soundtracks have changed because they licensed the songs on the soundtrack specifically for DVD release.
Yeah.
And now they're having to go back to the L word, completely re-edit scenes, put different music underneath.
Which is like a weird form of Mandela effect gaslighting that it's doing to us.
So I'm genuinely, I was like, I'm sure the first time I heard Hallelujah, it was on a scene in the L word, and then I did the rewatch and it did not pop up again. I was like, hang on a minute.
I'm so confused.
Where did it go? Did I imagine this? Did I make it up? Did the research? No. They had to remove it because the media is moving faster than you can write contracts for.
So there's so many situations in all kinds of media that are like this. Games has a real problem for it. Old game studios love to collapse, get bought out, vanish and dissolve. It's like their favourite thing to do. And then this happens with a lot of old games.
I imagine it's not their favourite. I imagine that is the worst case scenario.
Absolutely harrowing. But there are certain old games that sort of don't exist anymore because nobody owns the rights to them anymore. because for whatever dispute, the companies that owned distribution or owned different sections of it no longer exist. And those original people aren't around to then give new rights to anybody else. So there are sort of these orphan pieces of media in the world that nobody is allowed to touch anymore because all of the licensing just died at some point along the way to distribute it. And all of the games now, I mean, Jesus, you've got Steam and Epic Games and Origin and all of the game clients that you need the internet to watch it. That's the other thing. You need to have an internet connection now to access the things that you theoretically own. If the Wi-Fi goes out at home, we're stuck.
Sorry.
I know it's
for you.
If Epic Games or Steam has logged me out and the internet's gone down, I can't play the games that are downloaded on my computer. I can't play them because they are stuck behind a login screen that I cannot access online. These kind of things are so common. But there are people, obviously we see the physical coming back. Even in digital media, there are physical versions now being distributed. So places like GOG, Good Old Games, have created a system where you now, obviously, you actually download the game files. And they are absolutely trying to preserve old games that would otherwise disappear into the ether, and to make sure that people actually have the stuff and that there is no barrier to them. I pay for a game, I buy a game, I have the game. And they are really trying to do those things. So we see it across vinyls, replacing things like Spotify and things like that. It's going to be it's a difficult sell because one of these things holds, 9 things and one of them holds 9 million things. It's not an apples to apples comparison, is it? But
even on resale, again, you can get a lot more money back because, we talked about the Spider-Man game quite a lot last year because it was only 40 hours of gameplay. And it was the most expensive game that had ever been released. It was something like £69-70. And there was no gameplay.
It was 16 hours of gameplay it came out as if you just did the main storyline, which, to be fair, a lot of people don't just do the main storyline.
But that is a day's work for the most you've paid for a game forever. But if you bought the game, you could take it to CEX and trade it in for 40 quid, was the going rate at the height of its popularity. So you've only paid 30 quid.
Yeah.
So, and you've also got the capacity to give it to somebody else.
That's the beauty of it. And I think we need to try and start advocating for physical forms of media again, because not to be a real sort of...
I feel like we're being a bit tin hat now.
Conspiracy theorist naysayer. Let me just get my little tin hat out my back. If I whipped one out now, you would be shocked. I was very tempted to.
It would be classy and stylish, though. You're good with tinfoil.
Thank you.
I've seen you make a roast.
You've also seen me attempt to make a little boat out of foil in place of a tray. So I can get quite creative. I think I can do hats.
You can definitely do hats. All right.
Try shoes. Why am I like this?
I don't know, but anyway.
But I think...
Your metaphorical tin hat is on.
My metaphorical tin hat is on. And I think we need to advocate for owning physical things because we can't trust the companies. We can't trust that we will always have access to the things we've paid for. And in this economy, in this climate, paying for the same thing twice, 3 times, every 6 months when a new service licenses that, and I need to buy the same box set on Prime, on Disney Plus, on Netflix, on Apple TV, whatever it is.
On the train when you've got a digital ticket, but for some reason your battery gets sapped to death by, I don't know, the game Monopoly Go. The amount of trains I've been on where someone is desperately trying to find a charger because you can't even write down the reference number now, really. Like in your the dying breaths of your phone, if you haven't got the QR code, the conductor is not helping you.
No.
In this age of technology.
Well, that's it. We are so over-reliant on it now, but it's making us pay more than we need to and lose access to things. It's like getting robbed every time somebody updates their license. And that's how it feels for people, I think. When you're like, I definitely own this. I've bought it. I have spent hundreds of pounds on this stuff. But no, absolutely not. If you lose access to that account, it's gone. If they change the license, it's gone. And it's not fair. So let's buy physical things and everyone get record players and be the hipster that you always wanted to be.
Yeah, there's no shame in it now. It's for everyone. Vinyl's for everyone, not just for hipsters. If you want to actually own it, find a way to download it. But even things like photographs, get into the habit of saving them somewhere as well. Because again, I lost, I think, about 15 years of photographs when I lost a phone. And it's, you need that stuff.
Yeah.
Keep the physical things physical. Right, well, that was informative, I think.
I think so.
Yeah, and do you know what? It's time for a bit of fun.
Are you going to sing me a little song, Vix?
It's a bit of fun. It's now versus then.
It's then versus now. I thought I'd join in this time.
Now versus then versus now. That is, tuneless.
Look, I don't think that one was my favourite.
No, I think
we'll keep at it. Back to the drawing board.
We're only on episode 3, all right? You know, this could improve.
Can I just push back on that, please? That needs a bit of work.
So yeah, this is actually relevant and completely by accident because we obviously set up these rounds separately in secret.
Oh yeah,
we're looking at streaming. Funny enough, and because back in 2002, before streaming, there was Love Film.
Was that the postal thing? Yes. Oh my God, I remember going to, here we go, a sleepover.
Yes.
A sleepover, and somebody had obviously rented something and it arrived in the post and they had to post it back.
Iconic little red envelopes. Yep. So you could rent, how it worked, 2 to 4 discs from a choice of 80,000 titles for £15 a month.
I'm sorry, Vix, I've just felt this absolute wave of like loving nostalgia for going into Blockbuster.
I know.
Can we take a moment's silence for our love of Blockbuster?
Because this was the bridge between video shops and streaming. So this was the service that came before, and it was mind-boggling. You had access to all of these things, like box sets. You could get 4 discs. I mean, the idea now, because as it is, like viewing via appointment, the fact that I have to wait a week for a new Grey's Anatomy episode feels against my human rights.
It's disgusting.
But back then, you sent away for your discs, and then you sent them back.
Stunning.
And it cost $14.99 a month.
Okay.
And it was more titles than you could get, again, because you were not the internet was still in its junior stage, like
it's
Amazon
infancy.
For books. Mostly for books. It started out as a bookshop.
Yeah, I know.
And this was the only way you could access DVD box sets, new releases, like deep cut weird things as well, because you're kind of at the whim of whoever ran the shop in terms of what you had access to.
Yeah, I think similar to how local cinema works, is that there's some busybody on the parish who decides what films are going to be played at the lolocal cinema, exactly, and it's the same for those smaller outlets.
And you know, funny enough, I was talking about this a comedy night on Sunday, because there's a genre of older comedians that like to talk about finding adult material in the bushes and in the forest.
I'm sick of it.
And it feels like an urban legend now. But no, in these video shops, there was a little over-18s grotto, usually
curtained
lit
off
like an Amsterdam window, curtained off, where men would furtively shuffle in and out. The bravest of men.
Yeah.
Because some of them would just go into like the private shops, again, under the cover of darkness, ideally in a trench coat and wearing like a full scarf around their necks. But before you could access adult things on your phone.
I've just had the ultimate memory of going into Blockbuster with the family on like a Friday night to pick up a film for the Friday night family film night.
You all had to agree on it.
You all had to agree, and like I remember the kind of new releases were sort of behind the counter, or you could browse other things that were available, and they'd always, oh God, I hate it to this day, a bag of toffee Butterkist popcorn. And I just
the worst kind.
Oh, it's horrible. Like I've just had a horrible memory of that being stuck in my teeth. Horrible. Okay, so what am I comparing the price of Love Film to?
So Love Film's untimely demise was actually brought about by Netflix, but they didn't have, weirdly, again, the convenience won over, because at the time that Netflix first launched, it only had 7,000 titles. Love Film had 80,000 titles, but was pushed into obsolescence by convenience. And I want to know, $14.99. It was in 2002 for Love Film. How much is it for Netflix now? How far have we come?
For Netflix now?
Yeah.
Do I pay the Netflix?
I think you do. Or we both do, which is tragic.
Yeah.
Because again, if 2 people subscribe to something in the same house, have a look at that. Stop.
Yeah, you might still be paying for it. Oh, how much is Netflix now? Haven't they changed? They've changed their prices, haven't they?
It's got really mean now because they've cracked down hard on households and they've now brought in a cheap advertising model as well. So if you're prepared to watch ads...
No, I'm not prepared to watch
cheap.
ads. That's why I stopped watching TV. Oh... Adverts were a real scourge. Okay, how much is Netflix now? Is that for like a single screen?
Let's go for the cheapest option, which is the ads across 2 devices. So 2 devices can be watching in one household
with ads.
Surprisingly fewer than you imagine, it says in the ad. I do not believe them.
Fewer than you imagine?
No, one advert is too many adverts. No.
That is more than I imagine I would like to enjoy with my TV. Oh, I'm trying to think of a frame of reference to this because I got Spotify when it first started. And obviously there was Spotify Free and Spotify Unlimited and Spotify Premium. So I'm trying to price band this as somewhere between what Unlimited was and free.
It's interesting that they are charging for it because typically for ads, like with Amazon, if you want to access the Amazon ad stuff, that is free. So it's bold of Netflix to charge you anyway, to be honest.
You can pay and we'll also serve you adverts. Okay, I'm going to say $7.99 a month.
Okay, and for the bougie 4 devices with 6 people able to download and access content, how much for the top whack?
$17.99 a month.
Boom.
Right? Really?
So you're correct on that one. It's $4.99 for the ad service, and there's a middle tier as well, which is $10.99 for full HD, no ads for 2 devices.
Right.
But looking at it, it's one of those rare occurrences, and this is why I like this one, where it costs broadly the same, but you're getting significantly better service. So we've gone from 2 to 4 discs that you posted back to hundreds of thousands of options, so many that you could waste a whole evening not choosing something.
Days worth.
Same price.
No effort. And actually the value for money of that compared to what it was, because also £15 then was more than £15 now, fair enough.
Right?
You know, we do bemoan all of these things, but they are reasonably priced.
There are some reasons to be cheerful. I think if you told me, I thought $14.99 back then was good value for 2 to 4 discs.
Yeah.
And sometimes I held on to one for a whole month in that way that you do when you subscribe to things.
That way you do when you're required to post something back.
It's not all bad news. So I thought we'd end this episode, because sometimes it's a bit doom and gloom. With positivity. Like, there is a situation where things have got better.
And consuming media is better value than it was for something that you still don't own.
Yes. They're both situations where you're a tenant to the media itself, but it's only a couple of quid more and you're getting access to all kinds of stuff. And, you know, cinema releases come so much quicker. I waited, I think, 6 months to see Titanic after I saw it on the big screen, and it's pretty much simultaneous home and theatre release now. So... what?
I'm just laughing at the fact that you saw it on the big screen and then like, well, I can't wait to watch this again.
I saw it thrice. I didn't just see it once.
Thrice?
I saw it 3 times. I was like, oh my God, this is the worst thing I've ever seen. I'm traumatized again. And I think that tells you a little bit about...
I don't think it's very good.
We haven't got time. It's not a film podcast. I didn't ask for your opinion on it. I was just giving you an example. But that is the end of episode 3 of Spendology.
And what a blast it has been.
What a blast it's been. Did we tell people it was called Spendology at the top? Presumably they found out because
I think I said
they
it.
got to us.
They got this far through.
You got this far. So if you didn't know, this is the Spendology podcast. I've been Vix. You've been Charlotte. If you liked it, what should people do?
They should rate and review it. They should subscribe. They should find it everywhere. Follow it, click it, send it to their friends, send it to their enemies.
Download
harass
it, burn it onto
people.
a disc so you own it
Threaten
forever.
them. Threaten them with listening to this. I don't...
Lock them into the car.
Lock them into a room and put it on a big screen. What, make them listen to it thrice? I don't know. Like it, rate it, review it, subscribe, send us lots of love, tweet us, find us at SpendologyPod across all social media and at spendologypod.com.
This has been an absolute delight. Thank you for listening, and we will speak to you again next week.